What's up, Alabama fans? It's Andrew Bone with BamaInsider.com. Wanted to provide you all with a little weekend recruiting update. I wanted to provide some information on the Alabama spring game, visitors who are on campus. Also talk a little bit about a new offer that got extended on Thursday, and also tell you all what I'm going to be doing this weekend so that you can pay attention to our website next week, as we'll have a ton of recruiting content from this event that I'll be attending. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Alabama spring game. Obviously, a very big recruiting event. Just because kids were finally able to visit campus. It's been a while since we've seen a big collection of recruits in Tuscaloosa. There were some kids on campus back in the fall for a few of the games, but finally getting back into Tuscaloosa. Now, they weren't able to visit with the coaching staff, they weren't able to have any in-person contact, weren't able to go inside the facilities, but we saw a high number of recruits on campus. And when I say high number, I don't mean 100, I don't mean 50. I would say probably around 20, 25 recruits, kind of from different parts of the country, mostly in-state, but we did see some out-of-state kids in town, including Walter Nolan, the number one defensive lineman in the country out of Tennessee. And I had an opportunity to speak with Walter about his unofficial visit. Said he had a great time, was with both of his parents, his brothers, his girlfriend. It was a whole family ordeal down in Tuscaloosa for Walter Nolan. And he's also has a official visit set for Alabama in late June. So I believe that's June the 25th or the 27th. So be paying very close attention to that moving forward. But obviously he had a great time getting back down to Tuscaloosa on his own dime, not being able to have any contact with the coaches during his trip. I think it's very big for Alabama, just because he got a chance to see everything, got a chance to be on campus, and just get himself familiar with everything once again. It had been a few years since he had been at Alabama. I think the last trip was for the LSU game a couple years ago in November. So it was good to get him back on campus and see everything once again. Another out-of-state recruit that I feel like Alabama is going to have an excellent chance to land in this year's recruiting class is Elijah Pritchett, four-star offensive lineman from Columbus, Georgia. He's 6'7", 290 pounds. Has Alabama very high on his list. He's also going to be returning to Alabama in June for an official visit, but had an opportunity to catch up with him. It was his first trip to Alabama, and Alabama has been really putting a lot of heat on him, not in terms of necessarily wanting him to commit right now, but they want him as part of their class. So they're really going after him. Nick Saban had a Zoom call with him on Monday night after his visit to Alabama on Saturday. Just wanted to check in, see how everything went. Hope he enjoyed the visit to Alabama, and they're really eager to get him back on campus and sit him down with the coaching staff and really develop that relationship and see if they can win his recruitment, which he's going to decide at the end of the summer, right before his senior season begins. Definitely some big-time in-state kids that were in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. Shamar James, outside linebacker out of Faith Academy down in Mobile. He's going to be taking an official visit to Alabama in early June. I feel like Alabama has a tremendous chance to get him on board. Jeremiah Alexander, former Alabama commitment, number one player in the state of Alabama, was in town once again, and I still think Alabama has a great chance to land him. Still, Alabama, Georgia recruiting battle, in my opinion. There's some other schools that are in the mix, and he wants to take a lot of visits this summer, get to some schools that he hasn't seen before, but I still think it comes down to Alabama and Georgia for Jeremiah Alexander. Antonio Kite, the four-star safety out of Anniston High School, another elite athlete who is in town. We also saw some very talented elite underclassmen that visited Alabama, including some Rivals 100 players, including Kelby Collins out of Gardendale High School, big defensive end, one of the top 30 overall players in the country, not just the state of Alabama, but in the country. Tony Mitchell, who's a top 20 overall player in the country, defensive back from Thompson High School, and also Peter Woods, the number 5 overall player in the country, also from Thompson High School, big defensive tackle. So, definitely a great time for Alabama to get kids on campus, even though they weren't able to really spend time with them and get to tour them around campus. Just getting them on campus was obviously huge, and getting them to to the spring game, to the champion ceremony, I thought was all big for Alabama. And then we're going to see most of these kids back in Tuscaloosa this summer in June. Not many out of state, not many out of region kids. We saw some kids from Texas, Anthony Hill being one of them, elite linebacker in that 2023 class. Definitely some top talent in 2023 that was on campus, but most of them really regional guys, in-state guys. So big weekend for Alabama. Now let's get to the latest offer for the Crimson Tide. Rueben Owens, Texas commitment, number 25 overall player in the Rivals 100 in the 2023 class. Now, Rueben committed to Texas a couple months ago, and from talking to our Texas sources, they believe they were really surprised. It was kind of an out of nowhere commitment, and they still expected him to take visits. And now we're starting to see offers roll in, and he picked up that offer from Alabama last night. Now I had an opportunity to speak with Rueben on Thursday about his offer from Alabama. He was really excited. He said he's been watching videos on Alabama, been watching YouTube videos with Najee Harris and Henry Ruggs, and has been really impressed with everything he has seen so far. Says he really has enjoyed listening to them talk about Alabama, talk about competing against the best every single day. So he's really looking forward to traveling to Tuscaloosa. He's going to be making an unofficial visit to Alabama on June the 1st through the 2nd. He's also going to be visiting Oklahoma, and there's some other schools that he wants to visit, but those are schools that he has visit dates set for this summer. So we'll be keeping a really close eye on Rueben Owens moving forward. I think Alabama is going to have a great chance to potentially flip him. I'm not saying he's going to flip, but I think Alabama is certainly going to be in the running for Rueben for a long time. Had a great junior season, over 1,500 yards rushing, 22 touchdowns. And I asked him, he's rated as an all-purpose back, and he says, he wants to play running back in college, but also he can move around, likes to play in the slot, can split out wide. So he said he can kind of do it all. So that's certainly somebody that Alabama is going to be recruiting for a long time, and they're going to get him on campus here in about a month. So we'll pay close attention to him moving forward. Finally, what I wanted to shed some light on is I will be going to the Rivals camp in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend. Really excited. On Sunday, Lambert High School. First camp I've been to in a while. Obviously with COVID shutting things down last year, didn't get a chance to go out anywhere. So it had been really about a year since we had been anywhere, and then another year, so almost 2 years since we've really been able to get to any camps and see prospects. So finally going over to Atlanta. I'm going to have an opportunity to see a lot of top kids. This is an invite-only event. Most, I think majority, if not all, have several major Division I offers. A lot of kids that Alabama's heavily recruiting. Even in the 2023 class, there's a lot of 2022 guys that we know about that have been offered, but I'm really anxious to see a lot of these 2023 guys, including Peter Woods and Tony Mitchell, who I mentioned earlier. Both of those guys from Thompson High School, both rated in the top 20 in the Rivals 100 for 2023. Both of those guys are going to be in Atlanta this weekend. Really anxious to see them. Branson Robinson, who's a number one running back in the country from Mississippi, has Alabama in his top 5. I'm really eager to see how he performs as well. Michael Williams, 5-star defensive lineman from Georgia, who took an unofficial visit to Alabama this past weekend. Really anxious to see how he performs and catch up with him, talk to him about his trip to Alabama for the A-Day game. But I would say out of the 150 recruits that are going to be there, at least about 25, maybe even 30 recruits are heavily being pursued, or at least being evaluated and recruited by Alabama at this point. So really eager to get over to Atlanta, evaluate these guys, interview them, catch up with them, see what's going on. That's all we have for today for our recruiting show for this weekend report. Hope you all have a great weekend. We'll catch up next week on BamaInsider.com and on our YouTube show. Have a great day.